welcome back. I'm Carrie and this is Keep It Simple DIY. Today I'm going to be making sourdough pizza dough. I've already made the dough, but let me bring you back in time and we will make this dough from scratch and I'll meet you right back here. This is the first time that I am trying this specific dough. I have made sourdough pizzas before. I've made barbecue pizzas and breakfast pizzas. This dough I'm actually going to be using to make a breakfast pizza. For this dough, I started off with 250 grams of starter, which is approximately 1 1/4 cup. I then added 700 grams of water, which should be somewhere around 3 cups. I think it ended up being somewhere around there. I didn't actually verify the cup measurements since I did measure with grams. So the cups are an estimate, but the grams are for certain. I also wasn't too precisely exact with my measuring. If I was a little bit over or under on grams, I was just fine with that. So next I added 20 grams of salt and 60 grams of olive oil. And throughout the whole process, I'm mixing this. And then finally, 1,000 grams of flour, which is 4 cups. The salt was 4 teaspoons and the olive oil was 1/4 cup as well. So I mixed that all together. And then I let that rest for an hour. We call that autolyze, and that's all I did. It just sat on the counter for an hour. After that hour was over, I did stretch and fold, which is basically just taking your hand, pulling the dough up and folding it back over. And I did this every half hour for 2 hours. So I did stretch and folds 4 times. After I finished all of the stretch and folds, I let the dough rise on my counter until it reached the top of the bowl. And then that puts us back to where we are now. So I have my oven preheated to 425 and I've got my cooling racks out, I've got my pizza peel out, I've got my mat out. I do have some extra flour because this dough is a little bit sticky and just in case I needed it. One oversight though is I am almost out of cornmeal, and I actually tried to buy cornmeal a few times and it kept not being delivered because it was out of stock. So we are going to make do with just this little bit of cornmeal and perhaps maybe using some flour. I need to figure out how much I want to make with this. This is a pretty large recipe. Typically I like to double my recipes when I make pizza dough, and so this basically is a doubled recipe. It would make about 4 regular sized pizzas, but I like to make my breakfast pizzas even smaller than my single serve freezer pizzas, and I am going to be freezing these ones as well. But for this video, we are just going to be making the pizza dough, so be on the lookout for the next video, which is going to be turning these into breakfast pizzas. So let me see, this is super sticky, so I think, how do I want to do this? I'm thinking that if I take some flour and maybe just dust it along the top and put some here. Let's get our pizza peel ready as well. I wonder if I take just a little bit of the dough. I haven't punched it down or anything. Maybe that's not the right way to go. I'm trying to remember what I did last time. How did I accommodate the super... Oh, no, we're fine. We're fine. I was doubting myself for a minute there. We just need to get a little bit of flour on it and stretch it out. And try not to break the dough. So now I'm thinking though that I might need to let it rest for a second because the gluten's, even though it's been resting, the gluten seemed to all be stretching back together. All right, first one's always the worst one, but what we're going to do is we're going to put it on our pizza peel and then we will poke some holes in it just for ventilation and we will throw it on into the oven. So we're par baking, we're not baking them all the way. Okay, that worked out just fine. Let me throw a little bit more flour down here. Put the rest of that there. Pull a little piece. Maybe I should have floured my hand before doing that. think I'm gonna get a few to this stage. Remember to do my hand here. And then I will go back and shape them out a little better. And usually when I do this, I set a timer. I'm gonna try to not set a timer because there's gonna be so many of these that I feel like a timer might just be too much work. So we'll see how that goes. That might be a big mistake. I might be changing my mind. I've got a rhythm down now. Every time I do this, I have to pick up a new rhythm because I always make them different sizes. So what's been working is I've been putting the newest one in the back where there isn't one in front of it. And then this is going to be the one that was put in first. So I will take this one out. When I take this one out, I will take this one back here and move it up to here. And then I will put a new one here in the back. Then I'll take this one, move it up here, put a new one in here. So that way the newest one has one and the two others have two, and that's how I'm keeping track of which one needs to come out when. So far we've just got two little ones done, and these are perfect breakfast pizza size. Of course, they're not all the way done. They're just par baked, just enough to keep them steady when I put them in the freezer. So I am going to finish the rest of these, and then I will show you them when they're done. They've all come out of the oven. I did end up getting 22 little teeny tiny breakfast pizza size, which is what I'm making with these. I'm not sure if I mentioned before, but this is not an overnight proof recipe. This is definitely a same day recipe because there is so much starter in it. But these are looking fantastic. I need to completely let them cool, and then once they're cool, I can put toppings on them. So for these pizzas, I'm actually going to be putting some white gravy, some breakfast sausage, some white cheddar, and some eggs on them, maybe a little bit of parsley for color. And then I'll individually wrap them and put them in my freezer. That way I can take one out at a time and cook it in the air fryer for breakfast. This is the perfect size for me for breakfast, just a little one. It's almost like the equivalent of an English muffin, maybe a little bit smaller because I'm going to put so much extra stuff on it. any more than that, and that's just too much food. So that's that. Don't forget, you can make these in any size pizza that you want. This is just the size I chose for today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.